Hey guys, welcome back to Around the Campfire with AmeriCamp, the ultimate summer camp podcast. Yay. I'm Caitlin, and today I'm here with Katie. Woo!
Hello.
Do you want to just introduce yourself and what you do in the company really quickly?
Sure. My name is Katie. I work here at AmeriCamp. I'm the sales associate. I've been here technically since 2021, on and off, being the sales queen that I am. Super excited to be with you today.
And do you want to just talk a little bit about your camp sort of journey? Like, what camp did you go to? How many years did you go, etc., etc.?
Of course, I love talking about camp and myself, so that's great. So I went to a lovely camp in Michigan called YMCA Camp Manitou-Lin. I was there 2019 for the first time as a general counsellor. I absolutely loved it. I went back last summer, 2023, so literally 4 years later, as an activity specialist. It was quite a small camp. Obviously it's a YMCA camp, so it's like a charity kind of funded Christian organisation. So definitely different from these kind of big private camps. But I absolutely loved it. I made loads of friends there.
So what was sort of like your favourite part of your camp adventure over the years, if you can pinpoint it to like a few things that were just like the best things about it?
That's a hard one. I think meeting people, I think something that I didn't expect is meeting people from kind of so many places around the world and like different walks of life. Mm-hmm. That wasn't something that I kind of expected, but was a lovely kind of surprise. Because now I've got friends kind of all across the world. Mm-hmm. And meeting people in the States, getting to travel after camp as well and kind of see the sights, and just getting to kind of make a difference in a kid's life as well. Like, my camp was only a week at a time, so it was like a week-long session, so a bit different from camps where the kids are there for like the whole summer. So, we didn't have as kind of much time to build that kind of bond, I guess, but it was still that week you kind of see a difference in these kids. Like, they'd start like feeling really homesick, and then by the end of the week they didn't want to leave, and they'd made all these friends. That was amazing to see. I got trained in high ropes, which was also pretty cool. I enjoyed that a lot because I genuinely I'm afraid of heights, and it was something that I just kind of got roped into. Pardon the pun. But I actually ended up loving it, and that's what I went back as in last year, was as an activity specialist, was mainly doing like high ropes and stuff.
Oh, I love that. If you can sort of think back to before you went to camp, like for the first time, what sort of expectations did you have, and how was it different once you got there? Like, was there anything that when you arrived at camp you were like, this is completely different than what I expected? Like, how was your mindset going into it?
Yeah, I suppose nothing can really prepare you for camp, honestly. Like, I feel like I did so much research. I literally watched so many YouTube videos. I would literally spend my nights just watching YouTube videos, just dreaming of being at camp. Like, it was something that I wanted to do for so long. But I think nothing compares to like when you actually get to your camp, because you don't kind of know what to expect. You don't know who you're going to meet. It was super interesting. I would literally never forget like the first time that I ever stepped foot on my camp, and it just feeling like a completely new world, and getting to experience that for the first time. There was definitely, because I'd never been to the States before either, so it was my first time in the US. So there's definitely a bit of culture shock, but I ended up absolutely loving it. Like, I think at first as well with camp it can be quite intense, but then you really start to embrace it, like doing all the funny skits and the songs, and like when you stop thinking about, oh, this makes me look silly, when you kind of get that out of your head, that's when you can really like have the best time, and that's something that I loved. Like, it genuinely just built my confidence as a person. I think I realised that I could just be myself, and people would kind of love me no matter what. I really learned that at camp, and that genuinely did so much for my confidence, which I'll forever be grateful for.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think a lot of people, including me, like before and after camp, like you're a completely different person. Yeah, like definitely. In the best way possible too. Like, you're just much more confident. You're much more like empathetic. You've had so much more experience happen in literally 2 months. Like, if you were at home in those 2 months, you wouldn't have that much, like, change. Yeah. Which I think definitely is amazing. Like, it's just crazy.
It is, definitely. And my camp were super supportive as well. Like, they kind of taught us to be empathetic, because, like, if we were going through, like, a tough time or anything, like, they would always be there, like, the kind of senior leadership and the kind of main staff. they would be there to kind of help support, which felt really nice to have that support system there, like if you were felt homesick or if you were having a bad day. And that, I think I learned a lot from that as well.
Yeah, 100%. Like, the camps obviously want the campers to be happy, but they also want the counsellors to be happy and, like, do the best job that they can do, but also have the best time as well. So if it is something that people are worried about, like, really don't worry about it too much. Like, the people that are working at these camps are there to help you as well. But yeah, if we sort of think back again, what is, like, I know this is going to be hard to, like, wean it down to one thing, but what was your favourite camp tradition that you had at your, maybe it was camp specific or maybe it wasn't?
Ooh. Yeah, my camp had quite a few traditions, actually. Like, it's funny because obviously when you go to camp, you're just like, oh, this is camp. Like, this is what it's like. And then when you kind of, especially at AmeriCamp, because we've all been to camp and we all kind of share our experiences, and you realise some of them, like, you're like, oh, yeah, we did that. Or some you're like, oh, we did not do that. Like, it's so different. So, which is really fun to see. Like, we had a lot of just even, like, little chants and stuff that we do, or like skits. I think my favourite would probably have to be the campfire. Yeah. Like I said, my camp was like a week session. So basically the kids would arrive on the Sunday and then they'd leave on like it used to be the Saturday morning, but then they changed it to the Friday night. So it meant that we would have like an opening campfire and then like an ending campfire. And the opening campfire was like silly and fun and like just to kind of like warm the kids into it and make them feel like welcome and stuff. And we do like songs and skits. That was always super, super fun. I would always get up on that stage, any excuse to perform. And then our like closing campfire was a bit more serious, and it was a tradition that literally like has been in the camp like since it started like over 100 years ago. Which always like at first felt weird because you're like, there's like a drum and there's like a torch and you like get in this like procession and this line to the campfire, and then you like get to throw like get to shoot flaming arrows and like we got to do like fire dancing and fire throwing. That was one that I got to do my first year.
Oh my God.
It was literally throwing sticks of fire, and
that's amazing. Every
week I like freaked out because I was so scared that I'd like get caught on fire, but it was actually so fun. Like looking back, I was like, it's very cool that I got to do that. So yeah, those are probably a few that kind of spring to mind, but I'm sure there's quite a lot of others that are there as well.
Yeah, I think a lot of camps do sort of do the same thing-ish, but there's so many traditions for each camp that makes them all different. Like, I've been to 3 different camps and all of them have completely different traditions, which I think is amazing. So like, whatever camp you go to, you're going to have the best time and you're going to have some fun traditions to sort of get involved with. But yeah, to sort of change the subject a little bit, so one of the great things about doing AmeriCamp is when you finish, you get 30 days to travel the US. You don't have to do the 30 days, but a lot of people do, and it's just a way to go and explore the country and wind down a little bit after the craziness of camp. So did you travel after camp? Where did you go after camp?
I did, yeah. So, well, my first year, like I said, my camp was in Michigan, which is right next to Illinois. So we were quite close to Chicago. So we did, my first year, I literally just went to Chicago. We went there for, I think it was like a week, maybe not that long. But yeah, so that was super fun, getting to kind of explore like a new city in the States. But then after that, in my first year, I actually just went back to camp and did their like OE season. So at my camp, it's not, obviously not all camps do this, but my camp, they do like an outdoor education season. So they do it like before camp in the spring, and they do it in autumn or the fall after camp, which is like literally about 10 staff that will stay on, mostly like domestic staff. And then it's just kind of like school groups that come in, or like family groups. So you're just there, and instead of like looking after them all the time, you're just kind of there to like help out throughout the day and stuff. So I stayed on doing that my first year. But then my second year last year, we did like a full kind of road trip around Michigan, which was so cool. So obviously Michigan is like a state that people don't, I suppose, know much about. Like, it's not one of the main ones that people think about, but it is known for its lakes. It's called like the Great Lakes State because it has 5 Great Lakes, and I think I've seen like 3 of them now. So we did, there's like we did like a bit of a road trip around Michigan. I can't really remember all the places, but there was quite a few. But it was so fun. And there's like an island called Mackinac Island, which is quite like well known in Michigan. And we went there, and there's like no cars or anything allowed. It's literally just like horse and carriage and bikes.
Stop.
It was amazing.
Did you go on a horse?
It was amazing. I didn't go on a horse, but we did bike around, which was so cool. It was amazing, like so beautiful as well. It was amazing. That was probably like the highlight of the trip. And then I also got to go to New York, but I went solo on that one. Which, that was fun as well. I was literally there for like a day. It was just kind of stopover to get my flight back. But I've always wanted to go to New York, and I'm so glad that I did it. But I'd love to go back and go for like longer next time. But that was amazing. It was literally like being in like a 2000s film. 100%. Movie.
Like when you go to New York for the first time, it's like...
It's crazy.
You realise it's exactly as you expected.
Yeah,
but it's
literally.
Also crazy. Like the city is huge and people are crazy and it's just mad. But it's like... You definitely need to see it at some point.
Yeah, it felt so surreal. So surreal. I'd love to go back.
Just to sort of wrap up a little bit then, like, what is one thing that you would say to somebody who's, like, thinking about doing AmeriCamp, they're a little bit apprehensive about it, like, they're not really sure whether they want to go through us or whether they even want to do the program at all? Like, do you have any sort of words of wisdom that you can instill in those who are thinking those things?
It's so much easier to say, just do it. Like, I know that it's a commitment and it feels like a bit, and it is a big thing, like it feels like a big thing. But genuinely, like it gave me so much confidence. I actually like recently, like a year ago, came back from traveling Australia. And I never would have had the confidence to go to Australia had I not been to camp first. So it literally gave me so much confidence to do like solo traveling and just so much more confidence in myself. And then obviously I went back to camp, and I think that shows, I think most people that go will go again. And I think that is just testament to how great it is. But it's definitely, I think everyone just needs to at least try it. Because, like, you know, what's kind of the worst that can happen? I think it genuinely is life-changing for a lot of people. I think it is so worth it. Like, it's genuinely changed my life, and I'm so glad that I did it. And I think everyone should just give it a chance and see how you feel.
Yes, I agree. It feels like a lot, especially if you are, like, just out of college or you're going into university or anything, and you're like, what is happening? But it is genuinely the best thing that you can do. And like, if you're worried about like solo traveling or anything like that, like we've said this before, but most people that do AmeriCamp are by themselves as well, so like it's really nothing to worry about. But if you are apprehensive, I think speak to someone in the AmeriCamp team as well. Like we can just chat through everything with you. Like Katie especially is just great at those kinds of things, so if you just want to chat to someone, like honestly just call up or email or come along to a camp fair or anything like that. But like it really genuinely is the best thing, and I'm not just saying that because, you know, we work for AmeriCamp. I'm saying that because it is honestly the best thing. Yeah. But is there anything else before we wrap up?
I think that's everything. Okay. I think just do it. If you're thinking about it, just do it. I think once you have the idea, like that's enough to take that and run with it. And you made a good point as well. Like, if you're kind of worried about going solo, genuinely, the only time I was like on my own was literally the flight there. Yeah. As soon as you get there, you're surrounded by people. And if you're worried about making friends, you will make friends. Like everyone else is in the exact same boat. Even people that are returners, like they're always super, super friendly, and they kind of know how it feels to be a first timer. You honestly have nothing to worry about.
Thank you for listening to this podcast. We hope you enjoyed. If you want to hear more about Katie's experience, why don't you come along to a camp fair and chat to her in person about everything Michigan and everything lakes.
Yes, all the lakes.
But thank you, Katie, for coming, and keep an eye out for more podcast episodes.
More podcast.
Love you all. Bye.
Bye.